Hello everybody, in this video we're going to talk about 6 ways how you can expedite your case. As you know, so many people are now stuck waiting for visa appointments, waiting for their loved ones to be reunited, and the wait time is so frustrating. So in this video we're going to cover 6 ways of expediting, of taking advantage of some new things that are happening right now where you can try to move your appointment a little bit faster. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you on the other side. Hello everybody and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you can get the most up-to-date immigration information, immigration news, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states. And remember, in this video we're going to talk about some important ways how you can try to expedite your case, or some ways that we use at our law firm to bypass this crazy red tape of immigration backlog to try to help you as well with your immigration case. So we're going to talk about those 6 ways and hopefully it will help you as well. So make sure you stick to the end. Before that, if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show this video to more people just like you. So let's get started. As you know, the visa backlog crisis is insane, especially outside of the United States when people were dealing with US embassies and consulates. Previously, I've done a video how to expedite your case with USCIS. Right here you can see that. So make sure you follow that video as well. If you're inside the United States, the link is in the description of this video. But here we're going to talk about what's happening at the State Department, what's happening when you're stuck overseas trying to get your loved one into the United States, or if you're a non-immigrant trying to get a visa to be scheduled at the US Embassy or consulate overseas. We're going to talk about all these ways to get your visa a priority interview. Now remember, what's happening right now is that not only there are huge backlogs because of the pandemic, because these embassies and consulates were not operating properly, and only now they're resuming operations, and only a few of them are doing so. But also remember, we have the 14-day travel ban on quite a few countries. These travel bans does not mean that embassies are not allowed to issue visas, yet they're using the travel ban to say, no, we're not issuing visas. And therefore, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of frustration, and people are getting really angry with the State Department because, again, we get it that there's a travel ban. Many of us do not agree with this travel ban, but this travel ban is simple. All you have to do is quarantine for 2 weeks in a third country that is not included in the list of those countries, and you can enter the United States. But if you try to apply for a visa in one of these countries, you're getting a lot of pushback from these embassies and consulates, and therefore people are stuck. And what that means is that this backlog continues to increase, continues to grow, and therefore people are looking for ways to try to expedite their cases, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So first of all, the State Department created national interest exceptions both for non-immigrants and for immigrant visas to allow people to qualify under the national interest exceptions. So number one, there is an automatic national interest exception for certain visa categories, and most people are not aware of that. So under the new NIE regulations, F1 and M1 students are automatically eligible for national interest exceptions. They do not need to apply for those. All they have to do is enter the United States within 30 days before their program starts at the US university. Also for immigrant visas, under the State Department tier system, spouses of US citizens, LPR, green card holders, spouses, and fiancé visas should be getting priority as far as processing visas. Of course, in reality, we know that that's not the case, and a lot of these categories are still waiting, but based on the rules, they should be a priority for visa processing. Number 2, manually applying for a national interest exception. Can apply manually if they meet the national interest exceptions, and we've done a video on that before as well. But applying manually for that as a non-immigrant could be one option. And also, of course, as an immigrant, which is what we've been doing for the past almost a year for a lot of our green card holders, CR1 spouses that are pending overseas and they're trying to come in here and they're not able to get interviews, they can qualify for an NIE based on hardship, for example. We've been doing a lot of those. They've been very effective. Fiancé visas, a lot of our fiancé visas that are sitting and waiting, they are applying for a manual national interest exception, and again, expedited. Based on that, we file the expedite with the National Visa Center first, we get that approval, and then that is forwarded to the US Embassy, and at that point we request an emergency appointment. Manual, expedited, based on national interest exceptions are highly effective. They're not guaranteed, obviously, they're not that easy to do, obviously, but they are effective. And sometimes it's important to evaluate your case to see if you qualify for an expedite based on national interest exception. Those are highly effective ways to try to expedite your case right now, aside from just sitting and waiting for the State Department to call you for an interview. Before we move to point number 3, interview waivers, I wanted to remind you that if you do need help with your case, if you do need help to expedite your case, text me 619-483-4549. We're here to help you. So point number 3, interview waivers for non-immigrant visas. Back in March of 2020, the State Department issued a policy allowing interview waivers for certain non-immigrant visas that are filing for an extension in the same category, if their visas is going to be expired within the next 48 months. This policy is good until December 31st of 2021, which means it's going to help a lot of applicants avoid waiting for an interview to be able to come back to the United States. It's another form of speeding up the process of getting your visa. So if you are in the process of renewing your visa in the same category, you most likely are eligible for an interview waiver, so you don't have to wait for that interview and be able to get your visa automatically, as long as you're extending your visa in the same category, which hopefully they'll continue to allow that policy even through next year as well. With respect to expediting your cases with NVC, if you're pending, just so you know, people are asking how long it's going to take. Typically from start to finish, you should get a result, an answer from NVC from between 4 to 5 weeks after that email is sent with all the package for NIE. So it's relatively fast. If they approve it, you're going to know within 4 to 5 weeks if the case is recommended for approval to be expedited. And then once that happens, it's going to take another month or so to get an emergency appointment at the US Embassy overseas, so you'll be able to get an appointment. So remember, the whole thing is about 2 months, 2 months and a half. Still worth it, because imagine how much time you can save if your request to expedite will be granted. So definitely recommend it to consider it if you qualify. Number 4, requesting a visa waiver to enter the United States from the CBP. This is not a very common process, but I thought it's worth for you to know about it. Sometimes, specifically legal permanent residents are not able to obtain a passport from their home country to be able to travel, especially now during the pandemic, or certain people are not able to renew their visas in their passports to be able to enter the United States. Therefore, there's Form I-93 that is filed with the Customs and Border Patrol. In certain cases, they will allow a person to enter the United States without a visa to continue or finish their process in the United States, or even a person that doesn't have a passport, for example, like a green card holder that is not able to get a passport from their home country, and that person is now stuck waiting for a passport appointment and they're not able to come to the United States. That is a good way to expedite your entry to the United States by asking for this waiver from the Customs and Border Patrol to be able to enter the United States. If you meet those requirements and you're eligible, you should be able to apply for this and enter the United States and then finish your process here, so now you're not stuck overseas waiting for your appointment. So just thought about mentioning it here, visa waiver with the CBP using Form I-193 to be able to apply for that waiver. If you have questions about that, make sure you post them in the comments of this video. Number 5, applying for your immigrant visa at a third country. What does it mean? You are now waiting for your appointment at, say, Moscow or Manila, and you're not able to get it because those embassies are either completely closed, they're not taking appointments, your case is sitting at an NVC, NVC is not able to send your file to the embassy because the embassy is not releasing any slots, to allow NVC to send your file over there, and then you're stuck. Even an expedite in this case is not going to help because your embassy is not taking any appointments. So what we've done, we were able to schedule appointments in a third country. Let me give an example. We had a recent case that was scheduled for the US Embassy in Moscow. That embassy was not taking any appointments at the time. So what we've done proactively, we've contacted the US Embassy in Kazakhstan and said, are you guys taking third country nationals at this time? We have an applicant from Moscow, they're ready, they're documented qualified. We're even able to get this case expedited with the NVC. Are we able to schedule this appointment with you? This embassy confirmed, they said yes. We then moved our file through NVC. We let them know about this change, and this case was scheduled for an interview at the US Embassy in Kazakhstan, Poland, and Ukraine that are taking cases. And you can check also Thailand, the embassy in Bangkok. They will take third country national appointments from embassies in China and other countries in the area. So it is a really effective way to take your case from one embassy and try to request another embassy to interview them. It's important to be proactive, to communicate with the different posts, to keep them all informed, and be very polite and persistent when you try to do so. But it's been really effective. And once again, if you do need help with your case, if you're stuck at a particular embassy and you try to figure out how to move your file to another embassy, make sure you contact us. Best way to do so is 619-483-4549 to try to see if your case can also be moved to a third country embassy to try to move your case there as well. Again, very effective way to do so, especially now while so many of these embassies are not yet operating in full capacity. Finally, number 6 is the lawsuit. Filing a mandamus lawsuit against the State Department, against the embassy. Now you hear there's a lot of lawsuits right now going on. There's a lot of people that are joining in groups. Quite a few law firms are joining, quite a few candidates. They're suing the US embassies under Section 212F, stating that they are refusing to issue visas. They're using the travel bans, they're using all kinds of excuses. We had lawsuits that were helping DV Lottery, saying that they're discriminating against them because now they're a low priority in the tier system, and as a result, these people are going to lose their visas. These lawsuits are coming as groups. We had the Milligan lawsuit for K1 visas, but you can actually individually sue at US embassies and consulate. We've been doing this at our law firm as well. The purpose of a mandamus is to force the government to act. The idea is to force them to issue the appointment, force them to schedule you for an interview, because otherwise you qualify, you document you qualified, you haven't done anything else that will make you ineligible for a visa, and now they're refusing to issue the visa, whether it's because of a travel ban, and they're saying, well, you're not eligible because you're from one of those countries. Filing a writ of mandamus is an effective way as well. It is definitely a last resort, the way I see it. If you tried all these other things that we mentioned before, trying to expedite, trying to use the different inquiry processes, trying to move your case to a different consulate, if nothing helps, you do have the option to sue them. It's important to talk to an attorney to determine if you qualify, what are the circumstances of your case. But a writ of mandamus can help you get out of this process of being stuck in this limbo of waiting, and we definitely recommend it for the people that qualify. So those are the 6 ways to try to move your case, to try to expedite, to try to find ways, creative ways to move your case from one embassy to another. Hopefully this information was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any questions, if you're stuck, if you're frustrated in this whole process, we want to hear from you and see how we can make even more content, how we can make even more videos to try to address those questions. So thanks for watching, and if you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, give us that big like to allow YouTube to recommend this video to more people just like you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at our next video.